Take the bus to your graduation, Dad said without looking up from his phone. We need to take your brother car shopping that morning. He's had his eye on the new Tesla. I stood in our luxury kitchen, still holding my graduation invitation. After 4 years of maintaining a perfect GPA at Stanford Business School while secretly building my tech empire, this was the final straw. It's my graduation, Dad, I said quietly. From Stanford, with honors. Mom fluttered around the kitchen, avoiding eye contact. Lena, honey, you know how important this is for Daniel. He just made junior partner at his law firm. He needs to make the right impression. Right impression. That's all they'd ever cared about. My brother Daniel, with his law degree and designer suits, was their pride and joy. Meanwhile, I was the disappointment who'd turned down a stable legal career to study business and technology. The bus route goes right to campus, Dad added, finally glancing up. Besides, it's not like you have anyone special coming to watch. No boyfriend, no big career plans. If only they knew, but they'd never bothered to ask what I actually did with my time. Never questioned how I paid for my apartment in Palo Alto or funded my little tech projects, as they called them. Fine, I said, turning to leave. Enjoy the Tesla showroom. Back in my apartment, I checked my crypto holdings, up another billion after my latest blockchain platform went viral in Asia. My phone buzzed with messages from my executive team updating me on our newest acquisition. Miss Carter, my AI assistant, chimed. The board meeting for Carter Tech is scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m. Also, Forbes wants to confirm the photo shoot for their 30 Under 30 cover. I smiled, remembering Dad's comment about no career plans. If he'd ever bothered to look beyond his precious Daniel, he might have noticed his 24-year-old daughter had built a $13.8 billion tech empire right under his nose. The next morning, I woke up to news alerts about Carter Tech's latest innovation, revolutionary quantum computing breakthrough that sent our stock soaring. My phone lit up with a text from Daniel. Hey sis, getting my new Tesla today. Dad's going all out, Model S Plaid. Maybe you can get a ride sometime. Winky face. I glanced out my window at my garage, where my limited edition Bugatti sat next to my own Tesla, one I'd bought directly from Elon Musk during a private meeting last month. But of course, my family didn't know about that either. 3 days before graduation, Mom called. Honey, about graduation, we might be a little late. Daniel's Tesla needs some custom modifications, and the appointment is that morning. Don't worry about it. I cut her off. I'm sure the bus will get me there on time. What they didn't know was that I'd arranged something special for graduation day, something that would finally force them to see me. The morning of graduation, I dressed carefully in a custom Chanel suit under my robe. My phone buzzed with congratulations from tech CEOs and world leaders, people who actually knew who I was. As I prepared to leave, my assistant called. Miss Carter, everything is set. The dean has the announcement ready, and the Wall Street Journal is running the story right after the ceremony. Perfect. I grabbed my keys to the Bugatti, not the bus. Time to show my family exactly what their disappointment has been up to. I arrived at Stanford's campus early, watching family stream in. Right on schedule, my parents and Daniel pulled up in his new Tesla, all of them looking polished and proud. They didn't even notice me walking past them toward the graduates' gathering area. The ceremony began, and I sat quietly, waiting for my moment. The dean approached the podium, clearing his throat. My phone buzzed. One last text from Daniel. Nice of you to actually show up. Too bad you had to take the bus. Face with tears of joy. I smiled, tucking my phone away. In about 10 minutes, that Tesla wouldn't seem so impressive anymore. Before we confer degrees, the dean announced, we have a special recognition. Stanford Business School has a long history of exceptional graduates, but today we celebrate someone truly extraordinary. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My father finally looked up from his phone, brow furrowed. Among us sits the youngest self-made billionaire in tech history. At just 24, she has revolutionized quantum computing, blockchain, and AI. Her companies employ over 20,000 people worldwide. Gasps filled the auditorium. I stood, smoothing my robe. Please join me in recognizing Lena Carter, founder and CEO of Carter Tech Enterprises, whose net worth exceeded $13.8 billion this morning after her company's latest breakthrough. The applause was deafening. Through the crowd, I saw my family, Mom's program slip from her hands, Daniel's mouth hanging open, Dad looking like he'd seen a ghost. Ms. Carter has also made history as Stanford's largest private donor with her recent $2 billion contribution. I stepped onto the stage, removing my robe to reveal my Chanel suit. The screens flashed images of my companies, my innovations, everything they'd ignored. Thank you, Dean Matthews, I began. 4 years ago, I started at Stanford with a dream and an algorithm. While everyone thought I was just studying, I was building. While some were buying cars, I glanced at Daniel. I was creating the future. Reporters scribbled furiously. The Wall Street Journal article would be live any minute. Today, Carter Tech isn't just a company. It's a revolution. And yes, I did this while maintaining a perfect GPA. Mom was crying, not with disappointment for once. Dad sat frozen, probably calculating how many Tesla's $13.8 billion could buy. To those who think success has one path, who measure worth by the car you drive or the law firm you work for, think bigger. Sometimes the biggest achievements happen quietly while everyone else is looking the other way. I pulled out my phone, displaying Carter Tech stock price on the screens. The numbers made Daniel's Tesla look like pocket change. And yes, Dad, I added with a smile, I did take the bus sometimes. Not because I had to, but because while everyone was showing off their cars, I was busy building an empire. The applause was thunderous. After the ceremony, I stood by my Bugatti as photographers snapped shots of the billionaire graduate. The car's white finish gleamed, making Daniel's Tesla look almost ordinary. My family approached slowly, still stunned. Lena, Mom whispered.
How?
When? For years, I said simply. While you were focused on Daniel's career, I built something bigger. Dad stammered. You never said anything. You mean all those times you talked about my lack of direction? I corrected. You never asked what I was actually doing. You were too busy buying Teslas. Daniel stepped forward, gripping his keys. This isn't possible. You're my little sister. You're a billionaire. CEO of 5 companies. I finished. Owner of the largest quantum computing platform in the world. Yes, I am. And I did it all while you mocked me for taking the bus. My assistant appeared. Miss Carter, Mr. Musk is on the line about the satellite partnership. Tell him I'll call back, I said, watching Dad's eyes widen. I'm having a family moment. Mom burst into fresh tears. Why didn't you tell us? Would you have believed me? I asked quietly. When I mentioned my first company, you told me to focus on finding a husband. When I talked about my tech projects, Dad suggested I get a real job like Daniel. Another stock alert buzzed. Carter Tech had jumped another 12%. I wanted to prove something, I said. Not just to you, but to everyone who thinks success only looks one way. Dad stepped forward, humbled. Lena, we were wrong. I know, I smiled. But that's not why I did this. I saw a future no one else could. The fact that it finally made you notice me? That's just a bonus. Daniel stared at my Bugatti. All those times I offered you rides. I had a driver, I shrugged. And this car and that one. I pointed to the McLaren nearby, but watching you all assume I couldn't afford basic transportation? That was educational. Tech executives approached, waiting to speak with me. I have meetings, I told my family, but let's have dinner tonight. I'll send my jet to pick up Grammy. She's known about this all along. She was my first investor. Mom gasped. Grammy knew. Of course, I said. She actually asked what I was doing with my life instead of telling me what I should be doing. As I turned to leave, Dad caught my arm. "We were so wrong about you." "Yes, you were," I agreed. "But success doesn't need permission. It just needs vision." I handed him a sleek black business card. "Tonight, 7 p.m. at my penthouse. The driver knows the way." I glanced at Daniel. "And you might want to park that Tesla around back. Security needs the front for the Forbes shoot." As I walked away, surrounded by executives, I heard Daniel mutter, "I can't believe my little sister is a billionaire." I smiled. Sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's becoming so incredibly right that they can never see you the same way again. That evening, as my family sat in my penthouse, still processing everything, I raised my glass in a toast to taking the bus and building an empire while everyone else was showing off their cars. The view of Stanford from my windows was spectacular, but the view of my family's changed perspective? That was priceless for me. Subscribe for more stories like this.